to wake up. It's time to wake up. It's time to wake up. It's time to wake up.
As you will find out, we are probably the odd one out today. We are not here to convince you that your money is best trusted on our products. We are rather here since we are convinced that it makes sense that our money goes into promising ideas that are in your heads. Why is that so? Most of you probably are aware that a healthy, sustainable environment is a basic human right that's implemented in 161 constituencies worldwide, except the US, UK, Russia, and the usual suspects. You also know that this right is on a daily basis compromised by the present system, that instead of solving problems, it's rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic and having fights about the playlist. We all know that. Before I go into too much doom-mongering, I take on a German perspective, because we think we have solutions at hand and we should start looking in our own backyard. So there are new numbers just issued by the German Environment Protection Agency, the UBA, and they, on the first hand, look quite promising. Germany achieved last year a 10% reduction in its emissions. In terms of the share of renewable energy production, electricity, Germany could increase its share by 5.6%. But is that enough? If we look at what actually is the present share of renewable energy production in Germany in terms of the whole production, we are at something like 22% at the moment. And looking at the growth rate back from last year, we just have a growth rate of 1%. If we look at what's required of us in the German climate protection law, which says in 7 years' time we have to have 40%, everyone looking at these numbers realizes the maths don't add up. So if we look at 2045, where we ideally should have 100% renewable electricity or energy in total, it just doesn't work. So our big challenge is indeed 2045, where we would like to have net zero, but actually we would like to have the beginning of the period where we go into carbon negativity. So looking at the gap we're still in, with the 78% that we still have to decarbonize, it's actually 94% of everything we haven't decarbonized at the moment. And this is only true if we realize the 40 megatons carbon sink in the land use change sector. The bad news is that sector last year was an emitter, it wasn't a sink. So if we look at our emissions today and where we want to go at, we have to save 100%. So, and after we manage to reduce our emissions to zero, we still have 4 trillion tons of CO2 in the atmosphere. 4 trillion tons, that's 4 by 10 to the magnitude of 12, or 4 with 12 zeros in the end. So that's the actual problem. Now, we all know that this isn't merely a technical problem. It's a mindset problem. It's a problem of system change. We all know that. And of course, our government knows that. It's been embedded in various strategies to change that. And one of the major issues of these strategies is get these ideas which already are there in academia, in people's head, get these ideas on the streets, in products, in solutions that actually do solve problems. And that's basically where we work. So we address major challenges. We would like to make sure that Germany, not just in car production but in other areas, plays a role. To give you an example, France at the moment puts billions into its plastics recycling industry. They have the goal to switch to 100% recycling plastic next year. They are geared up to do that. Here in Germany, we do next to nothing. So this is just one of the examples where we have to step in and basically also try to do our part that innovation and entrepreneurship gets into people's minds, because otherwise we don't get any change. So practically what we're doing, we're in technology transfer, getting research results into promising products and services in companies. And obviously we also have to make sure that once we started these companies, that they are still viable and alive on the market, to achieve long-term success and traction. So to give you a perspective where we can help you, we can help you when you have finished applied research, when you have a validated application case, and fund you through to proof of principle. We don't like to put TRLs on either ends, but basically it means we can fund something from TRL 3.4 to TRL 5.6, which is a pre-industrial prototype. And within that, we basically cover the famous Valley of Death, for which you won't even today find any money. Before that you find money, after that you find money, but in the famous Valley of Death, few sources are there. We have two pillars of funding. One is the startup grant, which is for fast-moving projects, and the transfer of research, which still have a number of high failure risks associated with their technologies, and which basically need a little bit more money. So what can we actually offer? In transfer of research, we can offer up to 4 people, up to 3 years developing time, with a consumable budget to need. The startup grant is for up to 3 people, for up to 2 months, with a moderate consumable batch. And to put us into perspective, we are doing this now for the last 25 years. We think we are pretty successful with that. We have to the tune of 4,000 startup grants, some 1,500 transfer of research. And what we're particularly proud of is that 80% of our companies are still on the market after 5 years, and they're not just there, but they're successful and achieving results. And if you want to be a part of that community, you're welcome to visit us at our stand just down the aisle, down there, the big red X. And if you have specific questions regarding application processes or how to access our programs, I'm there today and tomorrow to answer your questions. Thank you.
It's time to wake up.